Hello, mathematicians, and welcome to 1.1 Introduction to Integers. Today, our essential question is, what are integers and how do I locate their opposites? For your lesson today, you are going to need a writing utensil, your math notebook, a growth mindset, and some determination. Our learning goals today, in other words, what you should be able to do by the time you finish watching this video and taking these notes, you should be able to identify an integer's opposite, and place that integer and its opposite on a number line. Okay, let's jump into some vocabulary. If we're going to be talking about integers, we have to know what integers are. Well, integers are whole numbers and their opposites, including 0. So let's take a look at that. We have here a number line, and we're going to place 0 on there because it says including 0. And then whole numbers, so not fractions, not decimals, those good old whole numbers that we all know and love. And then their opposites. And so you just saw their opposites fly up on the screen, all of those beautiful negative numbers. Now, don't be fooled. Not all number lines are horizontal like this. Some number lines can go vertical. So let me show you what that one looks like, where those positive numbers are above 0 and their opposites, those negative numbers, are below 0. So let's look at some numbers and determine, are they integers or not? Okay, so our first one is 5. Is 5 an integer? Yes, it's a whole number, right? What about 2.5 or 2.5? No, it's not a whole number, so it's not an integer. How about negative 11? Yes, this is a whole number. It's a negative number, but it's a whole number. What about 1/4? Nope, not a whole number, not an integer. How about this last one, 15/3? Ooh, this one is an integer, and you might be thinking, no, it's not. That's a fraction, and you just said it has to be whole numbers. Well, a fraction is really a representation of division, so 15/3 is the same as 15 divided by 3, which is 5, which is a whole number, so 15/3 is an integer. Okay, so pretty simple, whole numbers and their opposites, but watch for those tricks like 15/3 where that is actually equivalent to a whole number, so it is an integer. Let's talk about their opposites. Let's start by just graphing an integer on our number line. We're going to graph 4. Well, it's real obvious to us, and we can easily see that 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces to the right of 0. So its opposite would obviously be 4 spaces to the left of 0. So let's look at that. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces to the left of 0. So the opposite of 4 is -4. Let's look at some more examples of this. What do you think the opposite of 5 is? Yeah, -5, because 5 would be 5 places to the right, and so the opposite of that is 5 places to the left, which would put you at -5. What about 7? Yes, the opposite of 7 is -7. Same situation. 7 is 7 spaces to the right of 0, so the opposite is 7 spaces to the left, which would be -7. What about -11? Yeah, this one is a positive 11 because -11 is 11 spaces to the left, so the opposite is 11 spaces to the right of 0, which is a positive 11. How about -1? 1 is 1 to the left, or -1, excuse me, is 1 to the left. The opposite is 1 to the right, so 1. And last but not least, how about 20? You got it, -20. It's simply the same number with the opposite sign. So the opposite of positives are negatives, and the opposites of negatives are positives. Okay, so that was a real quick little intro to integers, but now you're going to pause the video. I want you to graph on your notes the rest of those 4 problems you have, and pause me, and then you'll come back and check your work and see how you did. So go ahead and pause the video and try those last 4 problems, and then come back and we'll see how you did. Okay, let's check your work. You were supposed to graph 5 -2, the opposite of -3, and the opposite of 4 on your number line. So 5 looks a little something like this, -2 like this, the opposite of -3, and then the opposite of 4. So how did you do? Hopefully you did really well. If you did not, let's go back and try to figure out what mistakes we made and make those corrections so that we have good notes to look back on. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching 1.1 Introduction to Integers. Hopefully now you can answer those essential questions. What is an integer and how do I locate its opposite? Before I go, I have to give credit where credit is due. Thank you, Amy Grossbeck, Amanda from A Perfect Blend, and Bricks and Borders for providing the fonts and clip art for this video. With that being said, mathematicians, go forth and be amazing.